The sky was overcast, clouds hanging low as the cold wind blew through the deserted highway. Luna, a small, frail kitten, no older than 6 weeks, lay abandoned in the middle of the road, trembling from the shock and fear of being left behind. The sound of a car engine faded into the distance, leaving only the sound of the wind rustling through the grass. Luna mewed softly, her eyes wide with confusion, wondering how she had ended up here. Was this her fate, to be alone, discarded like trash? Her coat was matted and dirty, evidence of the harshness of her life so far. She crawled weakly toward the edge of the road. Every movement felt like an effort, her limbs sore, her spirit broken, but a flicker of survival still burned within her. She had to keep going. She had to survive. Luna paused, staring at the horizon, feeling a strange mix of hope and fear. The wind carried the scent of freedom, but also danger. She wasn't sure what lay ahead, but staying on the road was no longer an option. She had to find a place to rest, somewhere safer, somewhere to hide from the cruelty of the world that had already shown her so much. Her little body was exhausted, her stomach empty, but there was a fire inside her, a will to survive that wouldn't be extinguished by the harshness of her surroundings. Slowly, she turned and began to step into the tall grass, her small paws pressing into the soft earth. She could feel the blades brushing against her fur, the gentle sway of nature embracing her, but she knew it was just the beginning of a long and uncertain journey. She was alone, and the road ahead was dark and unknown, but Luna wasn't ready to give up yet. The world felt more alive now, the wind rustling the grass as Luna made her way deeper into the field. Every small movement, every tremble of her body felt like a reminder that she was still so young, too young to be alone in the world. But Luna had no choice. She pushed forward, her body feeling heavier with each step. The days of being abandoned on that cold road seemed to stretch far behind her, but the fear still clung to her like a shadow. As she moved deeper into the field, a rustling sound caught her attention. She froze, her body tense, eyes wide as she peered into the grass. For a moment she thought she saw something. Was it danger? Or was it another animal, perhaps a friend? Her heart raced, and she waited, breathless, to see what would happen next. The rustling sound turned out to be a small rabbit, darting across the field in search of safety. Luna watched it disappear into the underbrush, a flicker of disappointment flashing across her eyes. She couldn't catch it, not in her state. But for a moment, Luna had the chance to observe something wild, something that seemed free. It gave her a sense of connection, however fleeting. The rabbit wasn't afraid of her. There was no hostility, just an understanding between the two creatures. Luna, however, felt a pang of loneliness. She had no family, no one to watch over her. She was completely alone in this vast world. The thought made her heart heavy, but she shook it off. There was no time to dwell on such thoughts. She had to move forward. Somewhere out there had to be a place for her. Luna continued her trek through the field, each step bringing her closer to the unknown. Her legs were growing weaker, but she didn't stop. As the sky grew darker and the wind picked up, she sought shelter beneath a small, crooked tree. Its branches bent with age, but it offered some respite from the chill that was beginning to settle in. Luna curled up beneath it, her body instinctively wrapping into a tight ball. She shivered slightly, but felt a small sense of peace. The world outside was darkening, and she was so tired. But for the first time since she had been abandoned, Luna felt a tiny bit safer. She closed her eyes for a moment, allowing herself a brief respite. Maybe tomorrow would bring something better. Maybe tomorrow she would find someone, something, that would bring an end to her loneliness. Luna's body ached from the cold night beneath the tree, but she awoke with the first light of dawn. The world felt different now, less overwhelming, perhaps because she had made it through the night. As the morning sun broke through the thick clouds, she slowly rose, her legs trembling as they supported her. She felt the weight of her journey settling into her bones, but a flicker of determination burned deep within her. The grass beneath her paws felt damp, the dew still clinging to the blades, and the air smelled of fresh earth. With each step, she moved farther into the unknown, but this time there was no hesitation in her movements. The loneliness hadn't gone away, but now there was a glimmer of hope in her heart. Maybe she wasn't as alone as she had thought. Maybe there was someone out there who would help her. As Luna ventured farther, her senses sharpened. The soft chirps of birds, the rustling of leaves, and the distant sound of running water filled the air. It wasn't long before she came across a small creek. The sight of the sparkling water made her pause. Her throat was dry, and she could feel the weight of her hunger creeping in. Cautiously, she approached the water's edge, her delicate paws stepping lightly on the smooth stones. Her reflection in the water was a constant reminder of how small and vulnerable she was, but the sight also filled her with a sense of clarity. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was learning to live. Luna dipped her head, lapping at the cool water, feeling the refreshment fill her body. But her mind kept wandering. What would happen next? Would there be someone to care for her? Luna had barely finished drinking when a rustling sound nearby made her freeze. Her ears perked up and her body tensed in fear. For a moment she thought it might be something dangerous. A predator, perhaps. But when she turned toward the sound, she saw something different. A human, a woman, appeared from the bushes. Luna's heart raced. The woman, wearing a faded blue shirt and worn jeans, knelt down slowly, her movements calm and deliberate. Luna backed away a little, unsure. But the woman's voice, soft and gentle, broke through her anxiety. "Hey there, little one," she murmured, her eyes warm and kind. Luna didn't know whether to trust her, but there was something in the woman's eyes that made her stay. Maybe, just maybe, this could be the kindness she had been searching for. Luna remained frozen for a few moments, staring at the woman with wide, uncertain eyes. The woman didn't move, instead sitting quietly on the ground, giving Luna the space she needed to decide. Slowly, Luna took a few cautious steps forward, her paws light on the soft earth. She didn't trust easily, but the woman hadn't made any move to hurt her. And for the first time in what felt like forever, Luna felt the weight of hunger gnawing at her. She was hungry, but not just for food. She was hungry for connection. The woman's eyes followed her, gentle and patient, waiting. Luna stopped just a few feet away, hesitating. The woman then spoke again softly. "I won't hurt you, little one. I promise." Her voice was calm, and Luna's body relaxed slightly. She was still uncertain, but maybe, just maybe, it was time to take a chance. Luna finally took a step closer, then another. Each step felt like a small victory. She was still uncertain, still filled with the remnants of fear, but the woman's presence brought something Luna hadn't felt in a long time, a sense of safety. Luna stopped just in front of the woman, her small body trembling slightly. The woman gently reached out and placed a hand on Luna's back, the touch surprisingly warm and comforting. Luna didn't pull away. She didn't know what this would mean, or what the future held, but for the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to trust. The woman smiled softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're safe now." Luna closed her eyes, a wave of relief washing over her. Maybe this was the beginning of something new. Maybe this would be the home she had been searching for. Luna had found herself in a new place, a small, humble home on the edge of the woods, where the woman, now named Sophie, had given her a bed by the window. Despite the warmth of the space, Luna's heart still felt heavy. Sophie had been kind to her, offering food and care, but the past had left its mark. Luna's instincts told her to stay cautious, to remain distant. The fear of abandonment still haunted her, and though Sophie spoke softly, she couldn't shake the worry that it might all disappear in an instant. At night, Luna would watch Sophie as she went about her routine, always careful to stay within arm's reach of the exit. Sophie had tried to comfort her, but Luna couldn't yet trust the softness in the woman's voice. Was it real or was it just another illusion? It wasn't easy, but each day, Luna felt herself fighting between the desire for connection and the fear of being let down again. The days passed, and Luna's wariness didn't fade. Sophie tried everything, small treats, gentle words, even sitting quietly on the floor so Luna could approach her if she wanted to. But Luna only came closer when Sophie wasn't looking. Every time Sophie would reach out her hand, Luna would pull back, unsure whether she could really trust. Sophie had never hurt her, Yet Luna couldn't erase the fear that burned in her chest. It wasn't just about food or safety anymore. The kitten needed to believe in love again, something she hadn't known for a long time. Sophie's patience, though, seemed endless. Each day, she would show Luna the same kindness, even when Luna would retreat. And it was during one of those moments, when Sophie was sitting with her hands folded in her lap, that Luna found herself inching closer, the warmth of Sophie's presence like a pull she couldn't resist. It was a week before Luna finally made her decision. Sophie had gone into the kitchen to prepare dinner, leaving the door to the room open. The soft sounds of pots and pans clinking filled the air, a stark contrast to the silence that had reigned in Luna's life. As she sat in her small corner, Luna hesitated. For a long moment, she watched the space between her and Sophie's room. Then, as though on instinct, she moved forward. She padded softly across the floor, the sound of her tiny paws barely audible. When Sophie didn't turn around, Luna took a deep breath, and with the slightest push of courage, jumped up onto the couch where Sophie was sitting. Sophie looked down, surprised but not startled. The woman's gentle smile was enough to break through Luna's walls. Luna, now close enough, let out a small, hesitant mew, testing the waters. Sophie's smile deepened as she extended a hand slowly, her voice just above a whisper. "Come here, little one." Luna's tiny body trembled when Sophie gently pet her for the first time. The touch was soft, a stark contrast to the cruelty she had once experienced. Luna froze, unsure of how to react, but Sophie's hand remained steady, her strokes slow and patient. The kitten's eyes closed, and for a moment, she allowed herself to feel the sensation of being cared for. It felt strange, but also comforting, like a piece of the world was finally falling into place. Sophie didn't rush her, didn't push. She just sat there, her hand gently moving over Luna's back. Luna couldn't understand it fully, but something inside her began to soften. She leaned into Sophie's touch, her body relaxing for the first time in what felt like forever. In that small moment, trust began to blossom, like a tiny seed, in the dark soil of Luna's heart. Over the next few days, Luna continued to build trust with Sophie, slowly letting go of her fears. Sophie took the time to teach Luna the rhythm of life in the small home. Gentle routines, warm meals, and soft words. Luna had begun to realize that not all humans would abandon her. Not all were cruel. Slowly, she began to play with the toys Sophie left for her, her movements hesitant but more confident each day. There was no longer a constant cloud of fear hanging over her. Instead, there was a budding sense of security, and for the first time, Luna felt she could be a kitten again. She could be carefree, even if just for a while. Sophie was her safe place, the first person who had shown her that love could be real. And Luna, though still cautious, was learning to trust again. Days had passed, and Luna was beginning to feel more at ease. Sophie's gentle presence and the routine of the house had created a sense of stability Luna had never known. She no longer flinched at Sophie's touch or recoiled when the woman walked past. Luna even began to seek out Sophie, curling up beside her while she read or worked. It was a small act, but it felt like a huge step for Luna. The fear still lingered, but it was now buried under the weight of something more profound: comfort, security, and a budding trust. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees, and the room was bathed in a soft orange glow, Luna ventured further into the house than she ever had. She padded toward the kitchen, her curiosity growing, drawn by the scent of something new. Sophie smiled as she noticed Luna's hesitant steps, knowing that every little move forward was a victory. Tonight, Luna would take another step in her healing journey. Luna stood just outside the kitchen door, her tiny body still unsure. The smells of dinner wafted through the air, but she wasn't just interested in the food. She was curious about the space that had once felt so intimidating. This room where Sophie spent hours now felt a little less foreign. Sophie noticed Luna's hesitance and put down the knife she was holding, walking slowly toward her. "Come here, sweet one," Sophie whispered, crouching down to Luna's level. Luna's heart raced as she moved closer, her body still cautious but no longer paralyzed by fear. Sophie held out her hand and Luna, after a long moment of doubt, reached out. The contact wasn't just about comfort anymore, it was about understanding. With that simple gesture, Luna began to feel something deeper. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was healing, learning that there was more to the world than loneliness. Over the next few days, Luna's trust in Sophie deepened. The woman was always patient, always kind, never rushing her, never pushing her too hard. It was through this steady and consistent care that Luna began to shed more of her old fears. One afternoon, as Sophie cleaned the house, Luna sat by the window, watching the world outside. The birds chirped, and the trees swayed gently in the breeze, but Luna wasn't focused on that. She was simply sitting there, watching, feeling secure in her spot. Sophie, noticing Luna's calmness, sat beside her and placed a hand on her back. For a few moments, they simply existed together in silence. There was no rush, no hurry. Just the peaceful comfort of a new bond being formed. Luna had never experienced anything like this before, and in that moment, she realized something profound. She didn't have to be afraid anymore. She was safe. She was loved. Sophie knew Luna was ready for more. As the weeks passed, Luna became more confident in her new home. The once fearful kitten now explored with a newfound curiosity, testing the boundaries of her safe space. Sophie decided it was time to introduce Luna to the outdoors. She had a small, enclosed yard, safe and secure, that would allow Luna to experience the outside world without fear of danger. With a soft, encouraging voice, Sophie opened the door and gently coaxed Luna outside. "It's okay, sweet one. You can do this." Luna hesitated at first, her body tense, but the warmth of Sophie's voice grounded her. Slowly, she stepped out into the yard. The fresh air, the new smells, and the soft grass beneath her paws were all so overwhelming yet exhilarating. Luna looked up at Sophie, who stood just outside the door, watching patiently. Luna took a tentative step forward, her body brimming with both fear and excitement. The outside world was big, but it was no longer a place of terror. It was a place of possibilities. In the days that followed, Luna continued to explore the yard, growing more comfortable with each passing moment. The outside world, once so overwhelming, was now a place of discovery. Sophie spent hours in the yard with Luna, showing her the simple joys of being outside. The way the breeze felt against her fur, the sound of the birds chirping above, and the joy of chasing small leaves as they blew in the wind. For the first time, Luna began to run, her tiny paws moving swiftly over the soft grass, her body free from the fear that once weighed her down. It was a moment of pure joy, something Luna had never known in her short life. She looked up at Sophie, who watched with a soft smile on her face. It was clear to both of them, Luna had found her place in the world, a place of safety, love, and endless possibilities. Luna had come a long way since the days of hiding under the couch. The quiet strength she'd begun to find within herself had started to show. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was thriving. Sophie had taught her not only the rhythm of daily life, but the joy of play and companionship. One afternoon, as Sophie prepared her lunch, Luna sat beside her, her eyes intently watching the movements. The sight of Sophie's calm, methodical actions no longer made her anxious. Instead, Luna's paws began to twitch with curiosity. She padded over to a stray piece of string on the floor, nudging it with her nose before batting it with her tiny paw. Sophie looked down, catching Luna in the act, and smiled. "You're getting better at that, aren't you?" she said, her voice soft and amused. Luna stopped for a moment, looked up at Sophie, and then batted at the string again, a small but growing sense of confidence blooming inside her. She wasn't just a kitten anymore. She was an active part of this world. As Luna's confidence continued to grow, so did her sense of independence. Sophie had noticed it too. Luna would often wander around the house, checking out different corners and nooks. The timid kitten was becoming a curious explorer. One day, Sophie decided to take a step further. She opened the back door to the yard, allowing Luna to wander out on her own. It wasn't just about the physical space, It was about giving Luna the chance to reclaim her sense of agency. As Luna stepped out into the sunlight, Sophie watched from the door, her heart swelling with pride. Luna wandered around the yard, sniffing the air, feeling the grass beneath her paws, and for the first time, she wasn't on edge. There was no fear of being abandoned. There was no hesitation in her step. Luna was finally embracing her new life, as it was meant to be. The days grew warmer, and as Luna's physical growth continued, so did her emotional resilience. She had stopped flinching at every noise and had even started to play outside in the yard, chasing leaves and insects. Sophie, ever patient, continued to nurture Luna's natural instincts. One afternoon, Luna ventured farther than she had before. She found a small bird's nest under the tree, its fragile structure tucked away among the branches. She sat under the tree for a long while, simply observing. It wasn't about hunting or chasing, it was about understanding. Luna didn't feel the need to disturb the nest as she once would have. She simply observed from a distance, a deep sense of peace washing over her. For the first time, she felt connected to the world in a way that went beyond fear or survival. She was part of the world, and the world was part of her. One day, Sophie sat down beside Luna, who had become quite comfortable resting on the couch with her. The kitten had grown into a sleek and healthy young cat, her coat now shining in the light. As they sat together, Sophie gently stroked her back, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. Luna had come so far. Sophie spoke softly, almost to herself. "You've come a long way, little one. I'm so proud of you." Luna looked up at her, her big eyes full of affection. It wasn't just about the love she felt from Sophie anymore. It was about what she had learned to give in return. Luna's trust had been earned, but it was also given freely now, a bond that had deepened over time. She wasn't the scared kitten who had once hidden in corners anymore. She was strong, loving, and capable of connecting with those around her. As Luna continued to grow, she began to step into her own identity. Sophie had given her the love, the safety, and the time she needed to heal. And now, Luna had her own purpose. No longer just a survivor, Luna had become a companion, a small but fierce protector of her new home. Sophie would often find Luna sitting near the windowsill, watching the world outside. She wasn't afraid of the noise of the world anymore. She was confident in her place within it. One afternoon, Sophie returned home from an errand to find Luna waiting by the door, her tail flicking in excitement. As soon as Sophie entered, Luna greeted her with a gentle nuzzle, her way of saying, "I'm here and I'm not afraid anymore." Sophie smiled, knowing that Luna had found her place, not just in this home, but in the world. Luna, now fully grown, stood at the window, her sleek gray tabby coat glistening in the morning sunlight. She had come so far from the frightened kitten she once was. Sophie watched her from the doorway, a proud smile on her face. Luna had found her strength. She had overcome the scars of her past. Sophie had given her love and care, but it was Luna's resilience that had truly made her whole. Today, Luna was not just a survivor, she was a fighter, a protector of her home, a true member of the family. Sophie had always known Luna was special, but today, the bond they shared felt even more profound. They had been through so much together, and it wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about partnership. Luna's protective instincts had begun to emerge as she kept watch over Sophie and the house. Whether it was standing by the door or guarding Sophie's side, Luna had claimed her place not only as a pet but as a protector, a companion who would always stand by Sophie's side, no matter what. One evening, as Sophie sat on the couch reading, Luna jumped up beside her, curling up with a soft purr. It had been a while since they had spent a quiet evening together. The warmth of the room mirrored the warmth Luna now felt inside. She wasn't just seeking comfort, she was offering it too. As Sophie gently stroked her back, Luna closed her eyes, letting out a contented sigh. The peace between them was more than just companionship. It was a deep connection built on trust, understanding, and love. Months passed and Luna continued to flourish. She had learned to trust completely, and it showed in her playful behavior and affection. One evening, as they took their usual walk in the yard, Luna stopped by the tree where she had first observed the birds. Now, she didn't just watch, she ran, leaping through the air in an exuberant display of freedom. Sophie stood nearby, watching with a heart full of joy. Luna had finally found her place in the world, no longer haunted by the past, but filled with the promise of a bright future. Sophie and Luna stood side by side, watching the sunset from their favorite spot in the yard. Luna had come so far, and Sophie couldn't help but reflect on the long journey they'd taken together. The little kitten she had found on that lonely road had grown into a confident, loving companion. Luna had healed, and now they both stood in the quiet of the evening, knowing that their bond would never break. "I'm so proud of you, Luna," Sophie whispered, her voice full of love. Luna nuzzled her side as if to say, "I'm proud of us too." The months had passed, and Luna now felt completely at home. Sophie's love had transformed her, not just physically but emotionally. She was no longer the frightened kitten who had been abandoned. She was a confident, secure cat. Luna spent her days lounging in sunny spots by the windows, watching the world outside, knowing she was safe. Sophie often looked at her with a smile, proud of the journey they'd taken together. Luna's heart had healed, and in its place was a deep love and trust that couldn't be broken. One quiet evening, Sophie sat in her favorite chair, a cup of tea in hand, as Luna jumped onto her lap. The cat curled up contentedly, purring softly as Sophie absent-mindedly stroked her fur. In this simple moment, the deep connection between them was palpable. Luna had come so far. Her fears were now distant memories, replaced by joy, trust, and love. Sophie smiled down at her, feeling the peaceful silence between them. "You're my little miracle, Luna," she whispered, knowing the cat had found a home, not just with her, but within herself. Time passed, and Luna continued to grow stronger. The world outside, once filled with danger, was now a place of endless possibility. Sophie and Luna would often go for walks in the yard, enjoying the quiet moments together. One afternoon, as Luna chased a butterfly, Sophie looked on with a heart full of gratitude. Luna had been through so much, but now she was living a life of freedom and joy. Sophie knew that their bond was unbreakable, forged through trust, love, and the trials they had overcome together. As Luna watched the sun set one evening, Sophie joined her by the window. They both stood in silence, gazing out at the world, knowing their journey had been long and hard, but worth every moment. Luna was no longer the scared kitten who had been abandoned. She was a confident, loving companion who had found her place in the world. Sophie, too, had changed. Their relationship had taught her the power of patience, love, and resilience. In the quiet of that evening, they both realized that they had saved each other. As the days turned into months, Luna's presence became a constant source of comfort and joy for Sophie. They had created a home together, one built on trust, love, and understanding. Luna was no longer just a survivor. She was a thriving, happy cat with a purpose. Sophie watched her as she slept peacefully in her favorite spot, knowing that this was where Luna belonged. "You've come so far," Sophie whispered softly, a tear of gratitude in her eye. Luna, her eyes closed, seemed to smile in her sleep, content in the life they had built.